Hi, my name's David Maldo, and welcome to Let's Do Video, where we talk about business communications and related topics with a focus on video. Today, we're going to take a first-hand look at a new product in the space. I have here with me today Ryan Pinky to give us a quick demo. Ryan, can you please just briefly introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ryan Pinky. I'm the owner of Video Conference Gear, kind of work on specializing in next generation video conferencing solutions that are affordable and adaptable for numerous type situations, from distance learning rooms to Fortune 500 companies.
So thank you for being here. The reason I asked you is we were chatting earlier this week and you told me you got a new camera and you could show me. Are we on this right now?
Actually, we are. We're on one of the new PanaCast 2 4K USB 3.0 cameras, but what's unique about this camera is it actually has a 180-degree field of view with the digital local side pan tilt zoom application included. So I can start changing my frame of reference all via my mouse or a simple touchpad with the Mac app. And that's a free app that comes with the camera. And it's kind of unique to give that different perspective and allow you to zoom into different parts of your conference rooms. Especially small huddle rooms, I'm seeing great success with this, where traditional cameras did not have a wide enough field of view, so this one's at 180 degrees. So I always like to do this example is I'm arm's length away and you can see more than my arm's width so close. And it's a uniquely powerful camera and what it does.
So let me understand, if we can go back to the full view.
Sure.
Great. So I could definitely see a lot of uses for this. There's a lot of unique spaces, especially the typical bowling alley long meeting room,
right,
where it's really tough to capture everyone you want to look at. And sometimes with the old traditional cameras, you're just kind of stuck looking at one particular corner and whoever happens to be sitting there. So when you're looking around, can you show us the camera? Because I want to understand how the camera looks around. The typical camera we know moves around. Is that what we're looking at today?
Not really. It's completely different. It's actually got 3 image sensors up front, and it's dynamically stitching these images together.
It's digitally moving around. I mean, the camera, it doesn't look like it has any robotics on this. So when you were zooming in on yourself or when you're looking left and right, the camera doesn't move at all?
Correct. So it's all solid-state cameras, and it's with the digital PTZ zoom. But yeah, remember, it's got an image capture pickup of 4K resolution. So when you do zoom in, you are still capturing such as 720p and things like this. I'm finding this is becoming more popular within the healthcare industry because of on carts and things, when it's less pieces to move around or less get jarred. It's a solid state device that just works, but it captures the whole room and you don't have to rely on people to coordinate it. And it's very small, so it kind of just works on that simple way to go.
Yeah, it looks really portable. It looks like you could put it in your pocket almost.
Correct. It does fit in my pocket. It does come with a nice little stand. So I think there's one other area where people can, this is a stand that'll sit up above a laptop. But I think about in the sales experience of when you go out for field sales meetings, you can bring in your system engineers, plug it in and do a call with them via a laptop. They can see that entire conference room you're bringing to them, so they get a better aspect instead of that silent part, that participant in the background on their phone just kind of disconnected.
Yeah, I'm starting to get it now. At first, I love the ability to be able to see the whole room, but there was a little part of me that says, I paid for every pixel on this monitor. There's a black bar at the top and the bottom, but really I think most of the time you won't have that. It's nice that it's there if you want to see everything all at once, but usually I'm willing to look at what's on the wall behind you or the person next to you, and if I want to have a view that has 3 people in it or 2 people in it, I shouldn't have to adjust a manual camera or have to buy more cameras. It's nice that the whole room's captured and I can just look at whatever I want.
Exactly, and it's unique at its disruptive price point as well. You're dealing with a sub $1,000 camera that's doing 4K and a 4K resolution with 180-degree field of view. But I think, like we'll talk later on some of the tech specs, we're at a 3840 resolution by 32 by 9 aspect ratio is what we got going on. So 2 widescreen TVs with wide and the height of 1 TV. So you can do some unique games of stretching across 2 monitors and kind of creating almost, a fraction of the price telepresence experience as you're creating that virtual window.
Oh, that's really smart. I'm doing the math in my head. If it's 32 by 9, that's exactly the aspect ratio of 2 monitors next to each other, which is a very common setup in a lot of meeting rooms. So you wouldn't have that black bar at the top even when you are fully zoomed out. It would fill up every pixel, but you still have the ability to kind of zoom in and look at whatever you want. So
exactly.
That's very cool. And I'm thinking there's two things that interest me about it. One thing, I like the way that it just kind of solves the normal problem of capturing everyone in a room. But
Hmm.
there's some unique things that you can do with this that I don't think you could do with other cameras. Like you're controlling it locally, but I understand they're
Correct.
working on an app that would allow me or anyone else to control it from our perspective. So I would just use my mouse to zoom in and scrape around just like I do with any other image. I used to work as an attorney, and I'm thinking that if I was remotely watching a deposition, I would have my view really close in focused on the deponent to make sure they're not
Right.
lying, and my partner would be looking at his lawyer, the deponent's lawyer, to see if he starts sweating. So the idea that you could have a team and be focusing in on different things coming out of the same camera, I don't think there's anything else that can do that.
I'm not aware of anything right now that, as I call it, individual foreign camera control. And I always use a very similar analogy where I think of the classroom, where I have a lot of schools looking at this to say, once we have this functionality gets released by Altea, one student can go zoom in on the whiteboard, another student can go zoom in on the instructor without disrupting that other person's view. So it kind of works, gives that person their own unique perspective of the room without disrupting the other person's view. Because right now, we have that singularity of just that single person controlling one camera remotely. And it has been a challenge in the game of soft codecs that, I personally feel the world is moving to, is this: how do we control the cameras as well as we did in the traditional, codec market? When you did a codec to codec call, you could easily do foreign camera control. But now we're finally getting to the right applications or integrating standards based and things like that. But then all of a sudden, here comes Altea in with a whole nother level that we've never thought of, is that individual foreign camera control, because it's got such great pixel density to allow everyone to see what they want.
Yeah. And some might argue with you about it being easy to do foreign camera control. It was definitely technically doable, but it required someone who knew how to work the remote control or codes or whatever. And the control, my understanding is just like using looking at a picture on your iPad, just swiping things left and right and zooming in and out.
Yeah, and really it was on their first generation camera with the PanaCast experience, is going into a meeting via a tablet. It was one of the best mobile experiences ever had, is how you could just pinch and zoom and get where you needed to. So pretty soon they'll have that released for this camera, and I believe it'll be coming for Skype for Business first.
Excellent. And it's not just the practicality of being able to look at whatever you want. I think there's sort of a natural feeling when you're in a meeting and you can look around. And sometimes you just get curious. You want to look around, and if it's almost like sitting in a meeting with blinders if you're stuck with a camera that's only focused on one little corner of the room. So I think that might help people interact more naturally, be more of a participant, feel more like they're there and less like they're watching the meeting from somewhere else. It's one thing when a new product comes out that does things a little bit better or a little bit differently, but when a product comes out that actually allows us to do something that we simply could not do before, and in this case it's having multiple people looking at different things out of the same camera, that's really something fun.
One of the unique things we haven't brought up is in the huddle rooms. That's been exciting to some of my other customers that are looking at rolling this out, is it has internal microphones. Now I don't have to add an extra microphone on the table. I may leverage the speakers off of the monitor. So it kind of helps keep things clean.
I know a lot of the people who come to your website looking for equipment are the IT guys, the techie guys. Is there anything you want to share to them as far as the specs? Give them the details.
Specs-wise, what's unique, it's a USB 2.0 camera and 3.0. I'm always a fan of the 3.0. You're always going to get much more capacity, but it does have the capabilities to scale down to 2.0. You will get a little bit of loss in, your resolution, but it's still good there. But uniquely, as I've been kind of testing this application on this camera on so many different applications, from Skype for Business, Link, Zoom, video, it's just worked. It's a standards-based camera. It runs standard USB drivers. There are no custom drivers. It's just plug and play and go, which is what things should be nowadays. Simplicity and ease of use and adaptability are key.
So despite the fact that its functionality is so different and it works so differently, you just plug it into the meeting room PC just like any other USB camera.
Correct. It connects the same way as your $100 desktop camera does as well, and shows up there and select and go.
And you were giving a list of integrations. I know they have, I've been checked out the website. They have a list of officially supported integrations. But if it's just a USB camera, it really should work with the hundreds of software conferencing codecs out there.
Anything public today, I haven't had an issue with, truthfully, and it's always been adjusted and accommodated by some of these newer guys that I consult to.
Is there anything else you want to share with anyone who might want to come to your site and look at these or is interested in buying?
Yeah, so I do one thing is, since it is such a different camera, and then I am a virtual sales force being online, I do a 30-day love it or return it policy. So you try it for a couple weeks, you don't like it, I'll give you a full refund back and we'll see where it goes. But I'm happy to help and make it right for you and what fits your guys' solutions to your rooms. It's about getting the right, accommodating the customer versus putting you into pigeonholing you into a box and making you live with heavy, bulky infrastructure so you can adapt to your user base.
Well, at the end of the day, we have a lot more options than we used to. So there's a lot for us to talk about, and that makes these podcasts a lot of fun for me. So thanks so much for joining me here today. Thank you, Ryan. And to learn more, please go to videoconferencegear.com, or you can check out my coverage on cameras, huddle rooms, workflow, and everything else at letsdovideo.com, or by my newsletter at letsdovideo.com/newsletter.